because of the skin I'm in. What's happening, everybody? Once again, it is the MEAC'n Up Hour with your brother Be Free, and I'm along with brother Will McKee, better known as Mackie. What's going on, Mackie? How you feeling, man?
Hey, feeling good, Ben. Another lively week of HBCU football and sports and CIAA and MEAC. Ready to talk about it.
I hear you. Shout out to the crew, brother D Mac, the one who created that dope intro, and the producer, host of our regular podcast. Names are not important with Mac and Free, which you can catch live on Fridays. Right? We took a week off, to let everything settle. But you can catch us on YouTube and Facebook at Names Are Not Important. Uh, you can also follow us on Instagram at Mac and Free. So with that, one more shout out to brother Ken Free Jr. I didn't get in touch with his publicist and his manager to make sure if he was going to be on tonight. So we'll see if we can get him up in here. But as you said, brother Mackie, another interesting week of football in the MEAC and the CIAA. Maybe some surprises, maybe some confirmations. I don't know. But nonetheless, it was a big weekend. Some things were decided, but yet it still leads to the upcoming weekend that will be a very big weekend, especially in the CIAA North. But we'll come to that. Any shout outs you want to give before we get started, my brother?
Big shout out to all of the viewers who could have been anywhere in the world, but they came to be with us, and we appreciate that. Big shout out to all HBCU fans, alumni, the players on the field, the coaches, the administrators, and it takes all of that to make these games happen and to make the events a success. So big shout out to y'all. Big shout out to also HBCU Go. Big shout out to the Griot and the good folks over there. Big shout out to Byron Allen and those folks over there as well. The big shout out to Shannon Sharp and those folks over at the Shay Shay shop. And big shout out to Stephen A. Smith for and Shannon Sharp for taking the ESPN First Take show on the road for one of the word that the Free family count of coin exposure. Uh, Ken Free Sr., Ben, and Ken Jr. talk about that all the time. Exposure, TV deals, apparel exposure. So big shout out to Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp for taking the First Take show to Savannah State. Shannon Sharp's alma mater, where he broke records down there,
Who were
and
they
to
playing this past
Winston-Salem
weekend?
State
Who
University, which is the alma mater of Stephen A. Smith. Big shout out to ESPN for the exposure.
for the expo? And who was Savannah State playing this past weekend?
They are playing one of those teams that have an extra gear, I call it, that we really looking forward to see what they can do in the playoffs, maybe. But we got the Florida Beach Bowl too, so we'll talk about
Yes,
how
sir.
that may be in the mix.
Yes, sir.
Benedict College, your beloved BCBC.
Shout out to the Tigers. Tough game from Savannah State playing at home. 17-17 at halftime, but like Brother McKee said, we had to kick it up an extra gear in the second half, pulled it out. But we're going to leave that to the SIAC because here at MEAC'n Up, we like to focus on the MEAC and the CIAA. So with that, let's go into the CIAA first tonight. Brother Mackey, is that okay with you, my brother?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with starting with the CIAA.
All right. I'm gonna tell
Nothing.
you what I'm impressed with. I'm gonna tell you what I'm impressed with. Two things. I'm impressed with Livingstone and them turning season around. They struggled a little bit early, and now they've been strong down the stretch, extra competitive. Uh, right now, they are in second place in the South. Um, I mean, I'm just impressed. And another thing I'm impressed with is the response, as K Free Jr. talked about last week, the response of Virginia State coming out this week. And whatever they said, whatever they ate, it worked because they
Sure.
put a shellacking on Lincoln, 75-25. So very impressed with those things because we were really watching how the Trojans were going to respond. And they stepped up and they needed that rolling into what is going to be for the Northern Championship next weekend against arch rival Virginia Union in Richmond. So they needed momentum because the last couple of weeks, Virginia Union has looked unstoppable, putting up 57 points both weeks. So they've looked good. They've looked good, but just to run some scores, as you can see, Virginia State 75-25 over Lincoln. Johnson C. Smith pulling out a close one against your Rams, 35-31. Virginia Union, as we said, 57 points against Bluefield State's 12. Bowie State winning a tough one against ECSU. Livingstone beating St. Aug's 34-14. And then a game we want to highlight, which was a tough one, was the Fayetteville State Broncos clinching the championship of the South by beating Shaw 21-14. Shaw has been a tough victory. Like if you're gonna beat them, you got to beat Shaw. They started a little bit slower, but now Shaw is tough, losing some close ones, going up against the champions in Fayetteville State. But in that game, I want to say this once again: the Broncos. They played a lot of close ones. Last week, a 7-point win against Johnson C. Smith. They've eked out a lot of close ones. A lot due to that defense. One of the top defenses in the CIAA, the nation. But will it be enough to get them another CIAA championship? Talk to me, Brother Mackey.
Well, we're down to the thick of it. This is crunch time. Uh, uh, Championship game slots are being solidified, and Fayetteville State, although you talked about it for the past few weeks, their offense has not really hit their stride yet. Defense wins championships, offense sells tickets, we used to say. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the offense of a Fayetteville State, I guess the one positive thing you could say, they could say, well, we haven't peaked yet. That's I guess they could say, hey, let's hope we peak at the in the CIAA championship game. But Fayetteville State got a 60-yard touchdown reception from Joe Owens, the quarterback there, that's been playing game manager, I would call him. But
Mm-hmm.
that's solid. There was a good discussion about that on uh, NFL game today, even with the Jets. Do you have to be the end all to be all at the quarterback slot? There have been plenty of Super Bowl rings and championships won by quarterbacks just managing the game, particularly when you have a sound defense like Fayetteville State has. And Coach Hayes down there is a defensive. He loves to have that strong defense. So Joe Owens Jr. has been managing the game, and he went 60 yards to Nigel Fitzgerald
Mm-hmm.
with 20 seconds remaining in the ball game. I wonder if that's the same Nigel Fitzgerald that was up at UConn last year. I don't
Okay.
know, but we're gonna get the research team to check that out. And plays like that in a defensive battle, a 60-yard throw and catch, can be the difference maker, and it was in that respect. Owens Jr. led Fayetteville State's passing attack with 280 yards yesterday.
Mm.
From the air, tossing one touchdown. He did have a couple of picks, interceptions, but 280 yards. So that smacks in the face of game manager. He's
Mhm.
like, hey, McKee, I can do this thing through the air too. Owens Jr. total 34 yards to lead the Broncos ground attack. So he's one of those quarterbacks that can not only beat you with his arm, he can beat you with his legs. Uh, he had 11.3 yards per carry, along with Derek Austin Jr. Also tacked on another 33 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Nigel Fitzgerald, it says, reeled in 4 catches for 91 yards and 1 score. When asked about the game-winning play, Nigel responded, I wouldn't say that play was for me. It was a shot play, and thank God Joe found me. So Nigel knows how to talk to the press and how to
Yeah,
lift up his quarterback. My
yeah,
quarterback,
yeah,
as
yeah.
Terrell Owens would say, my quarterback.
My quarterback. It's my quarter. But I want to stand corrected. Livingstone is in third, and they have a chance to play, win second place when they play Johnson C. Smith uh, this Saturday. And if they beat Johnson C. Smith at home, they will wrap up second place behind the Broncos. But so I just want to, I ain't want the John C. Smith folks calling in. No, no, we in second place. But yeah, to your point, um, maybe they haven't peaked. We'll take that. Um, but a lot of these squeakers, well, tell me this, Mackie. I mean, with all these squeakers, man, will that come back to catch up to you, or is it just, hey, we do what we need to do to get wins?
So I'm gonna throw that question back your way. Who does Fayetteville State meet in the championship? Who will represent the North of the CIAA? Then I can answer that
Look,
question. I can
I'm,
answer that question better.
look, I'm still well. Look, either one, both have been pretty dominant, but I'm still going with the Virginia State Trojans. I'm going with they got a ground attack out of this world. They can score with ease. Now I know they got shocked by Elizabeth City. I don't know what the formula was, what went on, but they come back and put up 75, and they have not had problems scoring to where, hey, Virginia Union's putting up points too. Been ranked. You know, they got a little shafted on the D2 playoff rankings because they strength of schedule. They're going through that. But I beg to differ because the CIAA has been very competitive. But whatever's whatever. I look at what they've done, and I don't know how you leave Virginia State off and Virginia Union off. Virginia State beat uh, FCS opponent Norfolk State at Norfolk State. They've gone out and beat everybody competitively. Now I know the loss at Elizabeth City hurt them, but I look at the body of work, and my thing is, if you are beating people like Union, beating people 57-0, 57-12, Virginia Union, I mean Virginia State beat 75. When you're doing what you're supposed to, that tells me you're pretty darn good. Now, if you're struggling to get wins by a point, a field goal, and you're saying to come, then I might understand that. But when you're coming out dominating people, see, and I'm not gonna get into that, but because I'm gonna let you answer. But I think sometimes that's what hurts our beloved conferences. They try to say, oh, the scheduling, the level of competition, and they don't give you just due. And I'm like, look at the body of work. Any team, if you're playing competition that you're supposed to beat, and you're supposed to beat steadily and easily, and you do it, that's a sign of being a good team. I don't care what anybody says. You know, if you're beating people 57-12, you're a pretty darn good ball club. Because these are college level athletes prepping and coming to play. You're playing against top athletes, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
that's why they on scholarship. So if you beat them like you're supposed to, like they stole something, I think you deserve to be in that discussion. But go ahead, and I'm gonna toss it back to you.
I'm gonna take it up a notch. I'm gonna build off what you said. It's particularly impressive in Division II football, and let
Mm-hmm.
me say why. We like to pride ourselves in the finer points of sports analysis. Critical thinking is on
Mm-hmm.
fleek here, I believe. So in Division II, now Division I, you have, let's say, you got 90 plus scholarships. The numbers are not important. You may know the exact number, being you got 90 plus scholarships, and blowouts can get really bad because you got a second and third string ball player that was all state in high school, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just itching to get out there and show their wares. They've never sat on the bench before in their careers. And sometimes they get in the game and the coach is not trying to run the score up, but you're third on the depth chart, meaning there's two people in front of you and you were all everything in your hamlet where you're from, and you take it 70 yards because that's what you do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you do. And then the score is 60 and 50. But in Division II, there's only 35 scholarships, 35 or 36 or 34. That's barely a first and second team.
Mm-hmm.
22 players on both sides of the ball, count special teams. Your athletic money doesn't cover everybody. So enormous blowouts are not as, I don't have the data on this. So, blowouts are harder to come by because you just don't have the depth. Most of your gladiators, if you will, are playing. They're getting a lot of playing time. Which go to Division II if you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's going to be easy, like you said, Ben. They're college level athletes there that are very good, but the scholarships are only 35. So the likelihood
36.
that you're
You're
gonna
right.
get out there
36. Mm-hmm.
36,
You're right.
you're gonna
36.
get you could go some players could go sit the bench at the University of Florida, nothing against them, for 4 years. Then you could go to Fayetteville State. You could go to uh, uh, Savannah State and play all 4 years if you do what you're supposed to do and have a full
Mm-hmm.
career and get a shot in the league. So that's 70 points that Virginia State put up. Those 50 numbers that Virginia Union has been putting up, that is made. Now, it's kind of like water meets fire when the winner of that North division plays Fayetteville State. You got the defensive juggernaut versus these explosive offenses, and it's going to be a chess match. Who
Mm-hmm.
can get the other team to play their style of ball until that clock runs out? That's going to be a real chess match. I would think that would cause a problem for Fayetteville State and a lot of. They got to
Yeah.
keep that score down because of what we've said earlier. But
Yeah.
you got to give me an extra. My research team has told me that is the Nigel. Let me give you a few minutes on Nigel Fisher. So this is a Deadly High School Panther. And for all of you North Carolinians, you know the legacy, and it's a national program at this point. Dudley High School is a powerhouse, one of the great powerhouses of the North Carolina sports scene. And he was a star tight end at Dudley High School. He signed with Old Dominion University out of Dudley, played up there a couple years, did well. And then he uh, took his talents to Connecticut and signed with UConn and went up there to play. Played last year, had a couple catches against the University of Michigan in the big house. I was watching
Mm-hmm.
that game. But when I saw the name, I said, wow, how many? That's a very unique name. He's at Fayetteville State in grad school,
Mm.
catching 60-yard touchdowns, changing the game. So NFL scouts, this is one of those dudes, as we say, that you want to get in your camp because he is 6'4", 227 pounds, and
Mm-hmm.
he's running 4.4s and 4.5s, and on a good day a 4.3. That he's a Megatron. They used to call him Megatron. His mom is big in North Carolina with employment and employing North Carolinians through her
Yeah.
administrative ways. But Nigel Fitzgerald, man, that touches my heart.
Yeah.
I know the family, and wow, I'm happy to see him down there.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say this. He gonna have to bring it because next week they got to go up against the Rams, and the one thing the Rams can do is score. So that defense is gonna get tested. We'll see how the offense responds. But I'm gonna tell you what's good, McKee, and I know we were gonna kind of get into homecomings and stuff like this, but I know you mentioned the Florida Beach Bowl, and I want to say, regardless of what the winners of the SIAC and CIAA championships do, whether they go playoffs or whatever scenario, you're going to get a great matchup in this inaugural because the CIAA has three legitimate contenders, as does the SIAC. And I want to say this: the regional rankings came out, and it was a little disappointment because Union and Virginia State weren't in the regional rankings. Fayetteville State was because they said their strength of schedule, and those two early losses Fayetteville State had. I guess you could count those as good losses because it boosted their strength of schedule, which helped them. And then they beat Virginia Union earlier this year. So with that, Fayetteville State was in the regional rankings. Uh, on the SIAC side, you had Benedict and Fort Valley State in the regional rankings. So with that, it just shows, and like we say, Virginia Union and Virginia State are on the outside looking in. But they are just as competitive. They've been ranked in Division Two in the overall polls this year. So regardless of who comes out, who doesn't, you're gonna be looking at some good matchups in this inaugural Florida Beach Classic or Bowl. I'm sorry. Um, and I'm excited for that because usually you hope it's your best because usually your best is like your best representative. But I think each conference in this, and if you look at the SIAC, Miles is having a good year as well as Allen. You have three or four schools on each side that I think would represent you at a high level in this inaugural and bring notoriety to your conference, the level of football that's played in your conference. So I
Yeah.
think both of these conferences are sitting pretty well. Um, Not sure where. Well, Fayetteville State, um, don't know where they rank or if they'll get a chance to host if they win the CIAA and go to the playoffs, whether or not they'll get to host. Um, but being ranked in the region, there's probably a pretty good chance if they come out of the CIAA and decide to go to the playoffs. So I think everybody's sitting pretty well. I think the conferences are excited. This is a big weekend uh, uh, for both conferences. Um, some good matchups. And then the following weekend, you have Championship Saturday. So we'll see after this weekend who the Broncos will be facing in that championship game. Um, Benedict as well clinched with the win this past weekend. So they're just waiting. who they will await, because Tuskegee is still in the mix, is actually second in the conference. We don't play them regular season. So, like I say, it's you got some good ball going on. So I'm gonna leave it at that and get your thoughts right there.
Yeah, and one I welcome one of the viewers to rescue me where I'm wrong. I was trying to find the me and the research team were trying to find the criterion that the Florida Beach Bowl is going to use for conference champions. Uh, the big thing with the Celebration Bowl was early on, before it really got started, was if your first place team qualifies for the FCS playoffs, would your place team go to the Celebration Bowl or go to the playoffs? And the $1 million payoff kind of answered that question for a lot of people, but it was still a question. I looked at the Florida Beach Bowl. I couldn't see the criterion looked very open ended. When you read it, it does
Yeah.
not say. Now, to me, that's a throwback to the old bowl setup before the FBS playoffs. Because back in the day, let's say the Peach Bowl, you saw teams that deserved to go to the Peach Bowl. For example, they had more wins, a better strength of schedule rating than another school. But if that other school traveled better, what that means was, how many fans do they bring to Atlanta, for example, or to wherever the bowl is located? They would look at the attendance at home games and how many people they bring to away games, and they would determine who made certain bowls based on how your fan base supported the school or supported the team.
Mhm.
That's those are facts. I saw it happen. That's how they used to do it, because before there was a playoff system, it was up to that bowl really to determine who they
Mhm.
wanted to invite. There were no rules. The national champion was picked by the AP and the UPI polls. So I think the Florida Beach Bowl, I'd love to be corrected in this, because what's more important than being right is finding out what's right. So from what I read, it looks like they drew it very vague, very open ended, so they could choose what made sense over some designation. Kind of the same way some conferences are not doing the East Division versus the West Division anymore, or the North and the South, because you don't get the true 1 and 2 teams as far as the year playing. You just get a Northern and a Southern, for example. The South or the North may not be as good. So some teams are scrapping that, and they're saying the top 2 teams will play in the conference championship. This is kind of similar. They want to leave it open to get the best 2 teams from the respective conferences that will make the best game. That's interesting.
Mhm. Yeah. Very. And and that can be a treat for the fans, but even bigger for the conferences, because you want a good showing the first time to create that buzz around this event, the buzz around your schools. You know what I'm saying? So that's very huge. Um, so I'm excited to see how it turns out, and who will accept the uh, the invitation. Um, because like I say, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really gotten much of the scoop, and I need to consult the the research team uh, to find out, um, what are the benefits, and you know uh, what are the advantages to doing that versus going to the playoffs. And I know, you know that's a tough decision because I look at like take for instance my Benedict Tigers. We were pretty highly ranked, and even like last year, we got a bye. We were able to host a first round game, which meant more attendance, more vending, more food and beverage sales. Um, but we know how important it is to be what we say in those big stage events. We look at the impact of the Celebration Bowl, where both MEAC and SWAC. Oh, it's a great payout for your athletic programs, but it's also a great amount of exposure, more so than you may would get in a playoff game. Um, you know, so I get it. We know that they don't always televise all the first round playoff games, Division Two, one double A or CS. So I can understand, why some schools would say, "Hey, we'll take the bowl bid." Guarantees. Um, One thing that's not with playoff. Well, you have a few, but it may not be to the level of the guarantee because you can't control attendance. Um, you can't control a lot of things, and if you have to travel, it could be even more strenuous, so speak. You know what I mean? But if you're hosting, you still can't guarantee attendance and certain other things. But with these bowl games, you get the sponsorships, you get the for many of the TV packages, you get a lot of benefits that you can expect. But we'll see how it pans out. So with that, we about midway through. Now we usually do music, but we had a little issue last week with YouTube. That's why we had to post everything, repost everything because they got on us about the musical rights. But so we're gonna transition, and with that transition, we're gonna transition uh, to the MEAC, and very interesting. We had Howard, which had been playing pretty well, but Howard eked out a close one against Delaware State at Delaware State, 17-10. You had Morgan State in a close one against Norfolk State. And then at Thursday night, once again, Central premiering, this time against the South Carolina State Bulldogs. And this was our featured game of the MEAC. McKee, I thought it was going to be a little bit closer than that. But Central came out showing dominance and eventually beat the Bulldogs 62-28. What's your thoughts, man? I thought South Carolina State was going to make it a little tougher.
Yeah. I think the Bulldogs did too. But I'm a highlight. Which hey, I'm a Bulldog myself. I'm gonna highlight these the quarterback stats, and they tell the story. He got Corey Fields for South Carolina State. He went 7 for 16, 81 yards, 2 TDs, but 81 yards. 2 words, Davius Richard. I hope it's not Richard because he is playing so exquisite. It's Richard because the brother is just doing it. 18 for 27, 352 yards in the air. 5 TDs with just 1 interception. Hey, you can disagree with the differences I put for Division II, FCS, and D1. Some people like to say it's all the same. I disagree. If you have a great signal caller in FCS and Division II, that's 7 to 8. That's 7 games. And if you want to disagree with me and come on the show, that's fine. We could go back through history to the Allen Hookers, to the Harvey at Air Harvey, down at Bethune, right?
Yeah.
To and then Harvey at
Satellite.
North Carolina Central. Who Rashard is second in passing to the old school Harvey. You can look at Suber at Bethune Cookman. Let's go. You can go back to Doug Williams at Grambling. You can go back to Willie Satellite Titan at
Satellite
Mississippi
type.
Valley State. I mean, what you want to do? You could just, we could go to Jay Walker. Shout out to Jay Walker when he
Woo.
was at Howard.
Wow.
If you were able to grab a D1A level signal caller, that's 6 to 7 wins right there. That's always
Mm-hmm.
been my point. Now, North Carolina Central has that. Not only do they have that, he has, to quote Coach Washington, who used to be at North Carolina A&T, he has the heart of a lion. Whenever, and let me say something, and it's not just him. And we talked about this the other day. Central plays, when they say certain people run the ball like they're angry, North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina Central plays the game of football with a chip on their shoulders, with a swag, and they play at a high motor. The
Mm-hmm.
receivers, the defensive backs, the D line, the O line, the running backs. They got a running back up there. Is it Devin Smith? Is it
Mm-hmm.
Devin Smith? Yeah, it's Devin Smith. Number 4. I thought I was watching Florida State. Devin Smith is not only is his vision superior, he's an Emmett Smith like vision. Secondly, and I'll throw it back to you. Secondly, if he clears the first level, he's running a 4.2, 4.3. That is the extra gear. The extra gear is Davius Richard. The extra gear is Devin Smith. Those receivers out on the end. Number 22's name is escaping me. And number 80. They are beasts out there. That's the extra gear. That's the extra gear that Benedict College has in the SIAC. That's the extra gear that Florida A&M has in the SWAC. That's the extra gear that North Carolina Central has. And that extra gear comes from those athletes, the Jimmies and Joes, not necessarily the X's and O's. And North Carolina Central, hat off to their coaching staff. They've won the recruiting battle of North and South Carolina, where it concerns HBCUs and FCS schools and Division II in general. You just look at the game. I mean, final score, like you said, 62-20. At halftime, the score was it was really 37 to 7 or 3. But South Carolina State, to their credit, we hung in there and got an X score. But they were about to put 40 points on at halftime.
Mm.
My Lord.
Yeah, and that's different because usually Rashard kills you both passing, but a lot with his running.
Oh,
But the balance and to come out and throw 300 yards and use the South Carolina State is known for gritty, tough defenses. That's very impressive. He's putting up uh, player of the year type numbers, man, and putting together
yeah.
a great season. If he's not a finalist for the FCS player of the year, I'd be shocked because he's doing it in the air, on the ground, and that team I don't think would be anywhere close to as dominant without him. But no shots, but because they're a good ball club because they got many weapons. But when you have a guy like that running the hell, like you said, that's 7 off the top just because of his ability. And then when you mix the talent around, you get what you get out there. And they got 2 more to finish it up, and they're gonna be, or 3 more to finish it up, and they're gonna be pretty tough. And I'm seeing right now an old BAC matchup. I see they're gonna get on me in the swag, but I don't care. We love you, swag. But FAMU versus Central, it looks mighty familiar.
Very.
from the MEAC days. So, hey, but I'm very interested in seeing that matchup if it plays out. Now they still got to handle their business. I don't want to look like I'm overlooking because Howard says we might have something to say about Central winning this title, but they've as Central has withstood some tests. Morgan State a tough victory up there. Uh, like I say, they look very dominant against NCCU. I mean against SCSU. So, woo, it's gonna be interesting. And if they playing like that, lights out. I don't see anybody getting close. I don't see anybody getting close.
We were looking for a competitive MEAC conference schedule this year, but it's looking like the rest of the conference is receding. It's a long season. That's another thing about FCS, formerly 1AA. You got about 65 or so scholarships. And as you get to game 8, 9, and 10, you got a lot of people injured, banged up. The ice tubs are full. The training room is full. And North Carolina Central's depth is just superior. And they're getting stronger as the year goes longer. In fact, and shout out to both head coaches Thursday night. That game was on ESPN U on ESPNU. Shout out to both head coaches. First, shout out to the young heir apparent who's taken the torch or the baton, if you will, in fine fashion. Mr. Trey Oliver down at NCCU, who is really, I mean, you look at his, he went from year one being questioned if he's the pick. Year one was rough. He's an alumnus. He played football at NCCU, but they didn't even give him a year before the Boo Birds came out. What's he doing? Did we make the right move? And look at as who said, "Look at me now." Was that Chris Brown or somebody?
Uh-huh.
I'm getting paper. Look at Trey Oliver now, and let me give him a special kudos before I go to the second coach. His respectful nature towards the Buddy Pugh, the legend from
Mhm.
Orangeburg. Shout out to Buddy Pugh, but Trey Oliver did as the young lion should do. He just paid great admiration to the legacy of Coach Buddy Pugh at South Carolina State, the legend. And Buddy Pugh has been imparting his nuggets of wisdom to Coach Oliver. When you honor those who have gone before you, sometimes the coffers of wisdom are just emptied into you because Buddy Pugh appreciated that so much. And shout out to Buddy Pugh for a legendary career of several coaches of the year, several MEAC championships, a celebration bowl ring as HBCU national champions. And hopefully they do with him like they did with Coach Willie Jeffries, made him head coach emeritus so that he could stick around the program and keep that good legend energy around. Hopefully they do that for Coach Pugh as well. Big shout out to both of them.
No doubt. And Bulldogs, stay away from Coach Chennis Berry. Stay away. I repeat, stay away from Coach Chennis Berry and Benedict Collins. Stay away and steal away. But look, I gotta put it out there. Benedict Collins, my Tigers, we gotta move on up to keep them. Let's move on up. Let's go D1. It's D1 or D none. Let's go. But anyway, because we're coming down the home stretch. But um, I do want to say I am looking forward to that Celebration Bowl, and hopefully we'll be in the building somewhere. I'm planning to be in the building for something around that time, but I'm surely excited, as I hope the SWAC family down there is excited about what's shaping up, because that's looking like to be a monster of a game. That's probably going to be one of the most anticipated ones since that year A&T played Grambling, and I think Grambling was like 11-1, A&T was 12-0, and they clashed in the Celebration Bowl. I think that was probably one of the most anticipated. But this right here this year is shaping up to look like a classic matchup. But with that, McKee, we got a school we want to highlight. And look, as we often do, we talk sports and we do that for the majority. But one thing that we like to hold unique with MEAC'n UP is that we highlight the achievements of our beloved schools outside the lines, off the field, and in the classroom, and these academic achievements, and where they impact society as a whole. So I'm gonna pass it to you, brother Mackey, to go ahead and do your thing with the academic highlight.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep it in the MEAC. We're going to keep it in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Today's academic program that'll be highlighted is South Carolina State University's Nuclear Engineering Program. And as it reads, the mission of the nuclear engineering program, which supports the mission of the university and college, is to produce engineers who are highly skilled, competent, and well prepared in the fields of nuclear and radiological engineering to enter professional careers in the public and private sectors and pursue degrees beyond the baccalaureate level in professional or graduate schools. And we'll also highlight the Memorandum of Understanding, which is partnerships that South Carolina State University's nuclear engineering program has with the University of Wisconsin-Madison and North Carolina State University. I will also lift up the Morrill Act land grant HBCUs. Those are your A&Ms, your A&Ts, South Carolina State, which was the federal legislation that brought the funding and the creation of the programs at HBCUs for agriculture, technology, and engineering. Big shout out to the Bulldogs of SC State. And if you want to know more about this program or send your bright and intelligent young student, your high school student, or if you want to transfer over to South Carolina State, you can find this program at scsu.edu, nuclear engineering.
No doubt. And that is not all the news with South Carolina State. I got to plug it. I got to plug it. South Carolina State is also hosting uh, actor, singer, entertainment, uh, entertainment icon to some of us younger folks, but Jason Weaver uh, is coming to South Carolina State to host a master class on uh, building a lasting career in film and TV. So South Carolina State has got a lot of big things going on. I'm a Jason Weaver fan. You know what I'm saying? Y'all may know him from Thea and Smart Guy, but I know him from his R&B days, uh, from when he was the voice of Simba in the original Lion King and singing, and also uh, his R&B career with one of my favorites, Love Ambition. But I ain't gonna get into that. Don't know why. You know, I always say that. Then I had to hit a little something back in, but I ain't gonna get into that. But shout out to the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. Oh,
Can I gotta share this with the viewers. I gotta share this with the
come
viewers.
on, come on, come
For
on, come
those of
on.
you who don't know, uh, Ben is the son of former MEAC Commissioner Ken Free Sr. for 18 years, and they have a rich singing tradition in the family. So oftentimes before the Freedom Bowl or before the MEAC tournament, back in the hotel room, there would be a lot of crooning going on. So that's a family tradition. I just had to throw that. That's what they do. And I'm his cousin, so every now and then I do background as well. Because you can't play the Jason Weaver song, can you? That'll get us. That'll get us
Yeah, after last week, I'm not gonna mess with it,
Ah,
but we'll try to work that out.
hey,
We gotta pay some folks for that. I'm gonna work that
hey,
out though.
would G Hunt be with Professor Hunt be with Jason while he's on
Yes,
campus? He will.
yes, because I've already sent my messages to through him to him. So hopefully I can get a background gig when he goes on if he does some tour dates or something. You will like the way I do you, babe. Check. You see the point. But anyway,
This that was
but on
good.
that note, man,
That boy good. That boy good.
that was good. That was good. Oh, I thought it was the trash. No, but on that note, man, hey man, we just hey man, good stuff, good stuff. But once again, we in the midst of homecoming season. So those of y'all still celebrating homecoming, we didn't give the Aggies a shout out because y'all left the MEAC. No, I ain't gonna do that. But shout out to the Aggies because they officially today started their G-Ho week, the greatest homecoming on earth. So shout out to the Aggies who are celebrating homecoming, to the Eagles who are celebrating homecoming as well. You got something before
Yeah,
we get
real
out?
quick before we go, I gotta shout out Jason Weaver. My favorite Jason Weaver moment. I love that song as well, and I love this track. In the movie ATL, shout out to the ATL viewers, to the ATL viewers that check out the show. When at the end of the ATL movie, when Jason Weaver had started his gold teeth business, and
Yeah.
for those of you who have been to Atlanta, y'all might have gone by Eddie's Gold Teeth, which was at I forget the name of that mall, but it was kind of off of his character. I'm gonna say that. And he turns
Yeah.
to Big Gip in the chair and says, "How you like that?" And Big Gip says, "Oh, that's what I wanted." So big shout out to Goody Bob and Big Gip and Outcast as well.
The good MOB. No doubt, no doubt. Well, on that note, man, I appreciate hanging with you another hour, Brother Mackey. And once again, we here every Sunday, but you can also catch Names Are Not Important. Um, on Fridays, we go live, but you can follow us on Instagram at Mac and Free, or you can catch us on Facebook and Names Are Not Important with Mac and Free. So check it out. You can watch the shows over and enjoy them, but make sure you share, you like, you tag, and send it to a friend. All right.
Please,
And
please.
until next week, man, enjoy your week, be blessed, and enjoy those homecomings. We're out.